Commander Vexitai's mandibles clicked in what his species considered polite amusement as he watched the human demonstration unfold. The Galactic Council had insisted on evaluating Earth's military capabilities before considering their application for membership, and so far the results had been underwhelming. Again, Sergeant Martinez called the human instructor to his subordinate. "Show them our standard marksmanship protocol." Martinez raised his primitive kinetic weapon, a rifle they called it, and fired at the target 100 meters away. The projectile struck the outer ring, barely qualifying as a hit. The assembled alien dignitaries exchanged glances that needed no translation. "Fascinating," murmured Ambassador Cleaton of the Hegemony, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "Your accuracy rating appears to be 37% at this range." "On average, yes, sir," replied Colonel Harrison, the human military liaison, without a trace of embarrassment. Vextai's thorax vibrated with suppressed laughter. His own species, the Zefkari, achieved 98% accuracy with their plasma weapons at 3 times that distance. The insectoid hive queens maintained perfect targeting through their biomechanical symbiotes. Even the primitive Roktani managed 70% with their crude energy projectors. "Perhaps," Vextai suggested diplomatically, "your species might benefit from our targeting enhancement technologies. We could provide neural interface upgrades or perhaps cybernetic eye modifications." Colonel Harrison's weathered face remained impassive. "That's very generous, Commander, but we prefer to stick with our current methods." The demonstration continued for another hour. Human after human stepped forward, fired their weapons, and consistently missed the center of their targets. Some shots went wide by considerable margins. Others struck the target frame instead of the scoring area entirely. Ambassador Cleaton began taking notes, presumably for his report on humanity's military inadequacy. "I must ask," interjected General Mordak of the Titan Confederacy, his massive frame towering over the humans, "how exactly did your species survive long enough to develop space travel with such limited combat effectiveness?" "Luck, mostly," Harrison replied with a straight face. This elicited more clicking, chittering, and the various sounds that passed for laughter among the assembled species. Vextai felt almost sorry for these primitive beings. No wonder they'd been relegated to a single backwater system for so long. The demonstration moved to the final phase, combat scenarios. Holographic projectors created a mock battlefield, complete with moving targets that represented various galactic threat scenarios. Standard protocol called for eliminating specific high-value targets while avoiding civilian casualties. 10 human soldiers versus 50 hostile combatants, announced the simulation parameters. Eliminate all threats. Minimize collateral damage. What happened next defied everything Vextai thought he knew about human capabilities. The humans didn't aim for the obvious targets. Instead, they fired at walls, ceilings, and seemingly random objects throughout the simulated battlefield. Their shots struck support beams, causing structures to collapse onto clusters of enemies. They targeted explosive containers that chain reacted across multiple threat positions. One human fired at what appeared to be empty air, only for the projectile to ricochet off 3 surfaces before striking a sniper that no one else had even detected. Within 90 seconds, all 50 hostile targets were eliminated. Not a single simulated civilian was harmed. The alien observers stood in stunned silence. "How?" Cleaton's translator struggled with his stammered question. "How did they calculate those trajectories?" Colonel Harrison allowed himself a small smile. "We've been shooting things for a long time, Ambassador. Sometimes the shortest distance between 2 points isn't a straight line." Vextai's combat computer was still processing what it had witnessed. The humans hadn't missed their targets at all during the earlier demonstrations. They'd been calculating angles, measuring structural weak points, and memorizing the physics of ricochet patterns. Every missed shot had been gathering data. "Your species," General Mordak said slowly, "doesn't optimize for direct target elimination." "Not usually," Harrison confirmed. "We optimize for creative problem-solving under pressure. Any fool can hit what he's aiming at. The trick is making the environment work for you." Another human, a young corporal, stepped forward. "Sir, permission to demonstrate the artillery calculation method?" Harrison nodded. The corporal raised his weapon and fired a single shot at a seemingly random point on the range's back wall. The projectile ricocheted at a precise angle, struck a metal beam, deflected again, and finally embedded itself dead center in a target that hadn't even been visible from the firing position. "Bank shot," the corporal explained cheerfully. Learned it playing pool. Vexitai's worldview quietly crumbled. His species had spent millennia perfecting direct engagement tactics, optimizing for accuracy and efficiency in straightforward combat scenarios. They'd never considered that missing the target might be part of the strategy. The Galactic Council, he said carefully, may need to reconsider our threat assessment protocols. Ambassador Cleaton was frantically updating his notes. How many of your combat techniques involve this indirect approach? Most of them, Harrison replied. We call it thinking outside the box. Sometimes you don't solve the problem in front of you. Sometimes you solve the problem next to it, and let physics handle the rest. As the demonstration concluded, Vextai realized that humanity's application for Galactic Council membership would need a very different recommendation than he'd planned. These weren't primitive beings who'd survived through luck. They were tactical innovators who'd turned apparent weakness into devastating effectiveness. The humans hadn't been missing their targets. They'd been aiming at everything else. And that, Vextai thought with a mixture of admiration and unease, made them far more dangerous than any species in the galaxy had imagined.